Hey, what's up fam? Welcome back to another video. Like I told you guys before, I am doing a little bit of a series. The topic is not as specific as I normally make it because I love to have more of an open-ended conversation about certain, I guess it is certain topics or certain things that I'm passionate about that have been coming up for me, because if you guys know me, you know that I do a lot of inner work. I do a lot of inner child healing, and personal growth, development, and learning is a huge part of my life. And so why not share those things and findings and things that I'm pondering with you guys, because then we can all grow together. So if you guys want to join the fam, subscribe, like the video, it does help my channel, and let's get into it. I want to discuss the dynamic between the hero and the villain. Or another way to put this is the predator and the prey. The reason why I have been so fascinated by this subject is because I know that it is so easy for us to look at the hero as being the most beautiful. The hero is the one that always gets the praise and the attention and the recognition, while the villain is looked at as wrong and bad and ridiculed and rejected. But the funny thing is, all of us have within ourselves our own inner villain and our own hero. And the problem is, because in society we are rejecting the villain, what happens is we then do that same thing to ourselves. So we're rejecting and disowning and denying our own aspect within ourselves that wants to act out in ways that maybe we see as wrong or bad. And everyone has this. It's just like every single human being has light and dark. We're living in a world of polarity where everything has two sides, including human beings. We all have our good side per se and our bad side, which I don't even really like to use those terms anymore because I don't feel like that's helpful for us in any way. So I like to use the words light and dark without trying to be judgmental on how I view them. Bringing it back to the villain and the hero. What if we were able to look at both the hero and the villain in a way of seeing the wisdom in being the good guy, but also in being the bad guy? The reason I say this is because there is so much wisdom in the darkness. There is so much wisdom in the villain. There is so much wisdom in going through struggle and hardship and all of these things that we as people, as society, are afraid of looking at because we fear the dark. And the funny thing is, so much of our life is being controlled by these darker aspects, and we are completely unaware of it because we are afraid to look there. I want to describe this in another way just so that it can kind of make a little bit more sense, because this has been a topic I've been studying recently, very passionate about it, and I feel like it's just like makes these light bulbs go off in my head, and it's just fun. Another way to look at light and dark is masculine, feminine. Obviously these two things are polarities, just like with everything else on the planet that has two sides. The masculine being the light or the conscious, and the feminine is being the dark and the subconscious. The subconscious mind is the receptive mind. The conscious mind is the forward-moving mind. Obviously the one that, if you think consciousness, think of the mind that's obviously aware. When we're awake, when we're focused, that is the masculine. When we're sleeping, when our subconscious mind is most prevalent, through our dream state, we're more susceptible and more receptive. That is the feminine part of our mind. The thing that I see as being not ideal is when we reject the dark parts of ourselves, we are also rejecting the feminine side of ourselves. We are also rejecting the subconscious part of ourselves, which means we are disowning a huge part of our wisdom. We are disowning a huge part of who we are, and we can't fully evolve and grow into the best version of ourselves when we are not accepting everything and accepting all that is. Because, like I said before, there's wisdom in everything. So instead of deeming something as wrong or bad, maybe reframe the way that you look at it and ask different questions. What is this here to teach me? When something pops up in your life and you feel like, for example, a toxic pattern, instead of saying, oh my gosh, this is so shitty, I'm so toxic, that person's so toxic, and being judgmental, what if you looked at that and said, wow, I wonder why I do that, or I wonder why they do that. Instead of approaching it with judgment, you approach it with curiosity. Now you're in a standpoint of being able to learn from the other person or learn from your own self instead of judging. Because I feel like another way to put this too is when you judge someone else or something else or yourself, you're putting up a barrier that literally is blocking you from learning. And I mean, I personally choose to live a life where I can expand and evolve and grow, and in order for me to do that, I have to be willing to be open-minded, which requires me to let down my judgment. So this whole topic is very fascinating, and like I said before, when it comes to the predator and the prey, the same rule kind of applies. The predator is looked at as the bad one, and then the prey is looked at as the vulnerable one that has no control over what's happening. I personally do not believe that this is the case because, first of all, we are all powerful beings, even though at some point in our lives most of us have been victimized, or so we think we've been victimized. But the reason why I can go so much deeper with this topic is because if you are to say you're a victim, that means something happened to you. And as long as you are living in a state of victim consciousness, you are giving away your power. So even if you were in childhood abused and mistreated and you were victimized, I completely understand where that's coming from. But what if we were to go beyond that and ask ourselves, what if I was the creator of this entire experience? What if I was the one who was actually creating this whole experience of life, or the one who so-called made this movie or this character? For example, I'm Holly. I created Holly character, put her into a movie to enact this certain play or experience called life. No longer am I a victim because I've taken my power back and said, even all the things that were terrible that happened to me, I created. So if I were to have created that, why did I do that? And was there something that I needed to learn, or is there something I can learn from those experiences, from those dark times, from those traumas, or even from that standpoint? So now I'm removing myself from being the prey or the one that's a victim to a place of empowerment. And I kind of want to talk obviously on the reverse role, which is the predator, being the person who is obviously inflicting pain on the prey, or the one who, it seems like in my view, has also been a victim, because the predator has something going on within themselves that wants to dominate over someone else. If we're talking in terms of human beings, only hurt people hurt people. Someone who's connected to themselves and to their truth is never going to inflict pain or harm someone else. So the predator then is also a victim, and that victim of another victim, because no one would do that in their right mind. So that kind of brings me to this conclusion that I guess we're technically all victims, but we're also all not victims if we go as far as to reclaim our power and say, okay, possibly, just possibly, I created this whole thing, this whole life, this whole experience, everything that I went through. And I like to just kind of play around with these things because it allows me to just expand my awareness and my consciousness, and hopefully this video opened you up in some way to maybe think differently, change your perspective on something, and hopefully empower you to move into a place of curiosity instead of a place of fear, because it helps us grow, helps us evolve. And that's pretty much all I have for today's video. If you guys are interested in doing coaching with me, I do offer one-on-one coaching. That information is in the description box below. And of course, I thank you guys for supporting my channel, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.